I'd like to welcome you all. It's the merry month of October, and of course, we're all in our Halloween gear. So I'm joined again by my good buddy Rob with Pro Broker. He jumped me ship and went on to play the pro sports. So we're going to talk with a guest today. Rob, why don't you introduce our guest for this webinar?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again, Paul. Always love doing these podcasts with you. Today, we have the lovely and talented Lindsay Merchant from Pro Broker Agency. And Lindsay is a professional recruiter with our company. So Lindsay every day is on the calls, making the calls that our clients do not want to make. And she uses OnTask every day, which is great, great software to help you recruit agents. But she's one of the voices behind Pro Broker Agency that helps our clients grow. She's recruited agents for multiple offices across North America, especially in the United States. And so it's her specialty. That's what she does all day. Is she does calls for clients across basically United States and Canada. And so, we wanted to have her on today because she's got keen insights into, things that you might be pitfalls, certain things that you might not be thinking about when you're doing your outreach and whatnot. And so what we wanted to do is, we've had a lot of educational podcasts this year. I thought we'd have one where we could ask some more questions to someone who actually does the job, not just someone with advice on how to do the job.
Right.
So welcome, Lindsay.
Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the fabulous introduction, Rob. I'm so happy to be here and to tell the wonderful people watching how to recruit perfectly.
That's a good pun.
You got to get started right meow.
Get started right meow. So
let me
fire away.
Let me ask a first question here. And of course, any of you on the webinar are free to type in your questions as well. So Ms. Lindsay, when you first make a call, tell us a little bit about some of the scripting you have to go through based on who's on the other end of the phone.
Yes, so it really is most important to have that conversation about the office culture, about what that agent might be coming into if they do join that office. So I like to have a really nice conversation about that and come up with a script that reflects exactly that, so that on the phone we're portraying, the most professional, disposition to these people that have never met me in their life and who I'm trying to convince that I'm calling from a specific office. So I find it really important to use words like here at this office in California, for example. This is how we do things, so that I'm really not sounding like I'm, halfway across the world, which in some cases could be the case, one day.
So is it about the culture? What when you get someone on the phone, what are their main questions? Or is it just a big variety? I mean, are they asking about culture? Are they asking about commissions? What do you hear?
Well, the main question is, why are you calling? That would be the point where I would offer the value proposition. And it's always really helpful to me to let the agent talk as much as they want. So even if they're really aggressive or unhappy with the phone call, I really let them tell me that. And then I can match the energy with identifying what kind of agent this is. There's some agents that are very direct. Then, you have to be very direct. If some are a little bit shy, that it might take a little bit of convincing, but if you hit on the right keynotes, they could very well book an appointment. Then we have those people, they're very analytical. They want the numbers. So you give them the numbers. So it's all about being prepared for, I'd say, those 4 personality types that we all know are out there. And, treating everyone with their own identity, but also keeping in mind that there are different types of people out there, and really making sure I communicate with them on that level.
Love it. So when it comes to, recruiting for brokerages that are like a major brand, without getting into, naming any names, obviously you do recruiting for major brands and you do recruiting for independent offices, do you find any difference in those calls? Do you find that there's a difference in making a call for a big brokerage or a small brokerage, and maybe just talk about, the differences in those calls a little bit?
Yeah, so when we're talking about the difference, we're also talking about the difference for the agent as well, right? So some of these agents really do want to go for that old school office, brick and mortar, where they can go in and see their entire, staff and employees and have that connection. Also that support. There's nothing like hands-on support. Being able to ask your broker a question just when you walk right into the office. There's nothing like that. And some people really require that for their whole careers. And some people don't. Some people are the entrepreneurs. They're out there to pioneer their own empire, and they're going to do it on their own, and they're very autonomous. So when I'm talking to an agent, I really want to get a feel for what kind of agent that is, and really keep in mind the difference in the office atmosphere. As we know, a lot of stuff is done remotely and online. So there are going to be those two different types, and that's really the first jumping off point. Is that agent more likely to want the office, or are they more likely to want to run their own business?
So,
Awesome.
Ms. Lindsay, when we've heard in our prior webinars that the agents, they want to talk to the person in charge, right? So I know you just said that you represent yourself as working for that brokerage. So tell us maybe some of the scripting that you use when someone's like, well, I want to speak to the managing broker directly.
Yes. Yeah, the number one thing I hear is, why didn't the broker reach out to me directly? So, if you're interested in me, why didn't I hear from them directly? And, the first thing they're saying is, I'm just another number on the list. Take me off the list. But typically we don't get to that point. If we're at take me off the list, then it's too late. So what I really hear is, if they are interested in me, then why aren't they contacting me themselves? And I feel that's an opportunity, because they haven't said, take me off the list, or I'm getting off the phone. That's an opportunity. They really want to hear me convince them why they are special, and, identify maybe some key points about why we've contacted them. So what I'll say is, listen, Paul's really taken an interest. He's been watching you, and he's just had me reach out to find the best time available where you two can either have a quick conversation to line up a coffee, or even just find a time that might work for you to jump right into coffee. We definitely want to get personal and find out more about your business. We just want to lock down a time to do that, since we're all so busy.
Lindsay, what do you love about recruiting?
I love talking to so many different people all day long. I mean, I get to hear the craziest stories, the funniest stories, the saddest stories, and I get to connect with people all from my own office at home, and I get to write it off. So I get to talk to people that are successful. I say that pretty much every agent I talk to is successful to a certain point, or else I wouldn't be told to call them. So I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a network of successful people, and I feel that it helps me become more successful. So that's what I love about it. I learn so much from people every day.
So
What
Lindsay,
do you like? What do you like most? Like, when you're using software and things like that, like, do you find that OnTask is an advantage to doing the calls?
Oh yeah, because most of the time the calls that I do, like I said, are cold calls, right? And so if we have OnTask, most times this broker or owner has paid for potentially a campaign that has already sent some of these leads a congratulations on a sale. So it's really primed me for that phone call. And it's so important, because what I've learned is the retention aspect is actually just as important, if not more important, than the recruiting. And when you have OnTask, it can be so easy to focus on those agents who are top producers, or focus on new agents who really need to get off the ground. But, some people forget to focus on that group of people that really are the bread and butter of the business, who really are doing their best every single day. They just fly under the radar. They might not need the same kind of support. So what OnTask does is allows that retention, building rapport with your agents that you already even have. and then also identifies those agents in your market that would be a great fit for your office. OnTask is unique in that it integrates the data for you. So there's a lot of advantage to saving time as well. But the thing I like about it the most is just being able to click a button and then the phone call is made. So just keep clicking the button, you can get through a lot more calls.
Right.
Now, do you like being able to call people that have done a co-broker deal as opposed to cold calls? Which one do you think is the better call to make?
Oh gosh, co-broke calls are amazing. Like I said, it sets you up for success. If I have the numbers and the name of the agent that someone's done a deal with, gosh, that goes from a cold call to a hot call pretty quick if the agent is already interested in making a move. And I've had situations where that agent was just in the office a week prior and thought that's an amazing atmosphere, and they loved the agent they did the deal with, plus they had a friend in the office, but they just needed that little push, which was a phone call from me. And then they think that the broker has asked me to specifically reach out to them that day. Gosh, that's a great day.
That's a good call to make. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and like what are you finding are some of the common objections, when you're getting someone on the phone, like if it's a co-broker call or a regular call or something like that, what are some of the common objections, either whether it's for a major brand or for a small office these days, just kind of in the last, and maybe this fall, like what would be some of the common objections to booking an appointment?
Yeah, just not ready to make a move. Things are so busy right now.
Everybody's busy.
Right? The market's never been this crazy, or, there's no, inventory. So things it could be a number of things. But the most common objection is I don't have time. I don't have time for a call. So when that happens, I know what to do now. It did take me a long time to get to that point of realizing that people will just say they don't have time, and they'll think that you're always going to be calling them back anyway. So they don't have to nail anything down. And what I've learned is that the more respect I have for my time, the more I don't let that happen. So if
Nice.
I have a date in mind of when I think that broker will be available before I even get on the call, then I have something to quickly say, which makes them not have to think. So the less the agent has to think about the decision, I feel, the better.
Nice.
Yeah. Can't remember if that was the question.
No, that's all good. I was just going to mention that OnTask brings all the co-brokes in, so you've got a full website there. And when you work with OnTask client, they send you a target list, correct? Or do you go in there and identify yourself?
They typically take the time to send a targeted list. But I'm capable of doing that as well. It's very simple.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
And you can seamlessly go ahead and book appointments right onto the managing broker's schedule, correct?
Yes. That's one of the things I like about it, is that it's synced with the calendar. So there's a lot less, chance of someone missing that very important appointment on both ends. I love that it will send the agent as well a reminder with their email. That is so important, and to streamlining that phone call is making sure that agent has that reminder. We all say we're going to do things like send reminders and whatnot, and life gets in the way. So when you have a software that does that for you with the click of a button, you can't ask for more than that.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that your clients that, you've got a host of pro broker agency clients there, Lindsay, that you work every day for us. What are you saying? What are you seeing as some of the biggest mistakes that your clients are making? You've gone ahead, you've made your calls for the day for that client, you booked them appointments. These are appointments where people on the phone have told you they'll talk to the client about switching offices. How are those clients making mistakes? What do you think is the biggest issue?
Yes, the biggest issue is we send a report every day at the end of our calls. So that'll outline, who we spoke to that was interested, but maybe didn't book an appointment, who we did book an appointment for, and who might need an email just to set something up further down the road to reach out to. But the one thing I've noticed is that if I book an appointment and the broker waits until the day of the appointment to contact that agent, is the less likely, even with it OnTask sending an invite and a reminder, that agent still might forget. They're so busy. And also they haven't had that personal touch yet that holds them accountable. So I find, hi, Don. After this call, we'll get right on it. Yeah, it really holds the agent accountable for the phone call, as you know, to get that personal touch from the broker or owner, because then they really feel like if they should follow through. You know, it's not a relationship they want to burn a bridge with, and they've already agreed to the call. It's not like we're pressuring them to do anything. So I feel it's really important for the broker or the owner, or even someone from their staff, to just reach out and say, you know, we're really looking forward to talking to you in a week or so, or within the next couple of days even. And that really gives an opportunity to then bypass that initial phone call and go right to a coffee meeting or an in-person meeting.
Right.
It really gives that opportunity.
Well, it's like sales, right? It's like sales, right? You've got to make the touches, right? At anything like that. Like, you know, I look at people and like, we'll have our recruiters call back and see if our clients have made the appointments and they've actually missed their own appointments. And it's like, well, why pay us to make your calls if you're going to miss your own appointments? And I think that's something that a lot of people don't take seriously. And we've talked about it before, is developing a plan. Sure, you might hire us and get OnTask and all that stuff and have a great, you know, outreach program going where we're going to generate leads and people. But if you're not prepared to handle those on the way in, you're going to miss those appointments, and people in the community are going to find out that you don't give a shit, that's going to be a bad thing. You know, absolutely something you've got to look at when you're starting a recruiting plan. Can you handle the leads? Can you handle the uptake of a sales campaign? Because, you know, it is recruiting, but in the end of the day, it's sales. So let's say Lindsay books an appointment for Thursday. It's today, it's Tuesday. You know, tomorrow is Wednesday. You could send a nice touch or like a little video on your phone to the prospect. Hey, can't wait to talk to you on Thursday. Looking forward to it. Showing some genuine interest in their business. Everything is so competitive now because everybody who's doing business is doing business amazingly right now. And everybody who's not is not doing any. So it's very competitive in a lot of the, you know, spheres where you're trying to recruit and the marketplaces and things like that. So if you have the ability to send quick little touches and things like that, if you have a recruiting campaign going, you will see the results. And at the end of the day, it doesn't cost anything to send someone a text or even a little call or an email or a little video. It's all free now, you know,
right.
and you just have to have the wherewithal to go ahead and to do these things. And so that's one of the things I have to say, you know, with any kind of sales thing, you know, and even with recruiters or whatever, you've got to want to do it. You got to want to do it. You got to want to slam dunk your results, you know? And so that's one of the things I know we've got Lindsay on here to ask questions about what she does every day, but at the end of the day, if you're not thinking about how you're going to handle it on the way in, then you're going to make some mistakes. And most people are organized. They've got a manager, they've got someone that can help them, because a broker owner can be very busy running an office. And so, I just wanted to mention that because it's sometimes things that people don't realize. They think everything is just going to be a turnkey thing where you walk into a dealership and drive the car out and it works. But that isn't necessarily what recruiting is. It's, again, more like the gym, where you've got to buy a membership and then you've got to go and then you've got to wait for the results and things like that. It's nothing.
We won't be waiting long.
Yeah, you don't wait long
with CBA. What were you
I
going to
think-
say, Paul?
I think that the important thing is, you know, we make the most efficient use of the managing broker's time, right? As we all mentioned, we're all busy. And likewise, the agent you're recruiting wants to build that relationship. So we can get the initial work done, but ultimately the managing broker has to close the deal. So we can queue it all up. We can make it as efficient as possible. So really the last yard is the only work that the managing broker has to do to carry it over the finish line. But that is the most important part in the recruiting process, because all of the initial work has been done. So
that really brought up one of the most important parts of my job for me in a big way is follow-up. So, and that goes for everybody involved. So it's okay if, you know, things happen. That's what your recruiter's there for. That's what OnTask is there for. That's what makes it so easy for you to, let's say if you do miss an appointment, your recruiter's there to follow up on it. And they should be asking you, you know, how did that appointment with so-and-so go, and finding out about that so that we can make those calls. You know, it happens. Agents miss appointments as well. I know brokers who are, or owners as well, who will be quick to say, I don't want to meet with that person, if they miss it. And I totally understand, but I like to give a second chance, call them and see what happened. And if they apologize and something came up, there's some situations where we can work on that. But the point being that follow-up is the name of the game. So even if I talk to an agent who's not interested right now, I'm always asking them, can I call you in 3 months? Can I call you in 6 months? Would you like anything by email? And that builds the rapport for the next phone call. If they didn't tell me, I never want to hear from you again, then they didn't say no. They're always a lead in my eyes. So, so that's how we treat it. We make detailed notes so that we always know, what the last conversation was. You'll always have an icebreaker or something to mention, like, hey, there was dogs barking in the background. It could be something very simple, but for the follow-up, it is so important to have those little details. And that's what we're here for. So if it seems like a lot, we're a kind of like a personal assistant. So we're going to try and correct those situations.
So
And most businessmen have it.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm the one with the knife here.
Yeah,
Getting back to recruiting. You both have made calls and recruited. Is there a recruiting season? Or is it all the time?
All year round. But, we see that the fall does have increased activity, but I've been talking to people now where they're saying it's not as much increased activity, which is, whatever. But again, people are always looking at their business at the end of the year, where they're going to be for the next year. And they're also getting that back to school mentality. I've got to get charged up. I've got to get something going, that type of thing. And so there is a different mentality in the fall, but we recruit year round, and that's the thing. There's always people moving. And that's the beautiful thing about the real estate industry is the first real estate office itself. It had to be built through phone calls. You know what I mean? Like the guy had to call everybody in town and say, hey, I'm open. You know what I mean? It wasn't just some magical rainbow thing that appeared out of nowhere and a unicorn came down with 50 realtors and said, here you go. It was nothing like that. It's not romantic, right? It's the legwork.
Right. And I think the NAR statistic is that 40% of agents are looking to make a move. 40%. So getting back to retention as well, Lindsay, as you pointed out, you gotta manage both ends of the pipeline there. You need to recruit, but you got to make sure that the people that you have aren't being recruited away either. So
exactly.
Absolutely. And having incentives and things like that is great. What does Charlie the parrot think about asking see if anybody's got some questions? Joe Coyne, how you doing?
Charlie,
Hey,
Charlie, he don't talk much. He's a quiet bird.
He's a quiet bird.
So yes, Joe, NAR has that stat. I can find it and send it to you if you'd like. So does any one of our group have any questions out there that they'd like to ask? Either Lindsay, Rob, myself.
Yeah, well, while people are coming up with questions, I just want to ramble about something. Something I discovered, in running a call center where we've got professionals like Lindsay who work remotely from home in quiet spaces where there's not a bunch of keys clacking and things like that. It doesn't sound like a call center. I got a call from a call center, I think it was about a month ago, where I was just trying to set up a separate American bank account for at my bank, and it was a call to me, and it took 20 solid minutes to explain to this guy what I wanted to do. And it just kept getting dragged out. And I thought, why is this taking so long? So I got a call back from the bank because I couldn't deal with this guy anymore. It was taking too much time. And literally the person at the bank, who's down the street from me here on Homer Street in Vancouver, did what I needed and opened the account in 5 minutes. Where this guy, I was 25 minutes into nothing, because he's getting paid by the hour. Right? People that do these call centers where everything is, how much time did you spend on the phone today? Well, that's what you're getting paid for. You know what I mean? That is completely different than how we do things. It's why we have the relationship with OnTask. It's because we're a performance-oriented company. Lindsay knows that she needs to book appointments. It doesn't matter how long that took to do it. It just matters that it got done. And so when you've got a business like that that's functioned on, specifically performance, it's much different than the bad taste that everybody has in their mouth from all these international callers. You know what I mean? Sure, we're international, but we're in Canada.
That's right. There's no contract. So we don't perform, we're gone. You're not getting locked into some annual deal. So if we don't perform, we're gone. So
as soon as I'm recruiting, people hang up. As soon as I think I know if you're saying you're recruiting, they're definitely hanging up. Right,
yeah.
Rob? Yeah.
Not the best word to use? Are you,
What
are
is
you,
the opening line, Lindsay? What's the opening?
well, you've gotta have a special meet and greet with each client. You got to figure out what those scripts are before you even make a call. You've got to have a script writing session. You don't just put someone on the spot and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is what it's going to be. You've got to decide what's going to be said, because if you've got 2 or 3 good scripting ideas, per office or brand or that type of thing, then you're going to have the right kind of idea. But if you're just running with like hey, I'm calling to invite you. So one of the things, so one of the things that a lot of people mess up on when they're doing recruiting calls is they're not asking the person on the phone questions. That is one of the things that I think a lot of people drop the ball on. It's not like you're trying to get a pitch off. You're trying to ask questions like, how is business this year? How is your office treating you? Are there any things that you would change about your current office environment? What do you think the market's going to be like next year? Is there any projects right now that you need help with? And if you can get a couple of questions deep into a conversation with a realtor, that's a heck of a lot better than trying to just jam something down their throat. We had a guy who is a prosecuting attorney in Florida that was trying to open a real estate office, and he would just pick up the phone and just do these diatribes with people and try and, just coerce them magically into joining his office without asking any questions. And it never happened. He didn't recruit a single person. And I was like, well, you've got to talk to a coach or something like that. And he talked to a coach. He's like, I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what's going on, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, well, how about asking some questions? Oh, well, this salesman told me I should do that. And it's like, well, it's not even a trick. It's Lindsay, just showing genuine interest.
What is your opening line, Lindsay?
Well, I was just going to say, to hit on that, when someone says they're not interested, it really is a perfect opportunity to say, so are you happy where you are currently? Does that mean that you're happy where you are? And that typically is 9 times out of 10, you're hearing, I'm not interested. So if you follow that with, does that mean that you're happy where you are? Well, no, I'm not happy where I am, but the commission's better. Oh, okay. So we're dealing with a more, money-based, thinking, right? A way of thinking. Or, yes, I am happy where I am, but I don't make enough. Typically they will say something along with yes or no. So that's a real opener. And then the opening line is, hi, my name's Lindsay. I'm calling on behalf of Paul. It's very cheerful. It's very, like I said, using words like here at the office in California, we, using words inclusive, like we here at the office, at this family run office, are in a growth mode, something inviting, something we can build off of in the scripting process. So as long as your energy and your demeanor is coming through over the phone, words really are not as effective as tone sometimes.
Exactly. Tone is so important. Absolutely.
Yes.
And being positive and upbeat. It's like that Seinfeld episode where George doesn't get the excited hello from the girl on the phone. He's expecting the hello, and if you don't have that excited energy, then you've got to embrace that excited energy inside yourself and get on the phone. Yeah.
It's true. It makes a huge difference. And preparing yourself for each phone call, a little prep talk in the mirror or something, because they're going to pick up on whatever your energy is. You might not think so, but they do. And how you feel about yourself before you get on the call really actually results it. And always making that one extra call. That's the best advice I have. Right when you're tired of calling. So sometimes I'll be stuck on a client, and I'm like, I know I could do more calls. How many calls am I going to end up doing? Sometimes you really want to try hard to get that appointment. And, I always find if I do those extra few calls, it's usually by the first, second, or third one after I was going to stop that I get that next appointment. So that's the
persistence.
Yes, exactly.
Right, we're right at 30 minutes here, Rob. Let's see if we got one more question.
Don,
where do I find costs?
Don Jordan, I thought we were waiting for your broker metrics list. I think we're already doing business with Don Jordan.
So the cost. You want to announce the cost, Rob? I'll say the OnTask subscriptions $199 a month. You have to have broker metrics though, and broker metrics pricing is varied depending on what MLS you are in.
Yeah, Don, it's us. Yes, I think you talked to, no worries. I think you were talking to Devin. So Don is actually in the chat here. Don, Don, we're just waiting for his call list from Broker Metrics, and then we're going to get started on it. He's got someone great. I think he's
Right.
got one of Lindsay's personal trainees. We're going to start on it with him, which is great. So we're only $800 a month.
All right.
Oh,
That's
Don,
awesome,
that's
Don.
nice. Thank you, Don.
And
Yeah.
let me just throw that out there. $800 a month. You want to go hire a recruiter yourself, it's going to be 2 or 3 times that much. Easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus-
and it won't be
plus
any,
if
and they
you
won't know what
only
they're
wanna-
doing.
Yeah, and it's a month-to-month deal. You can't hire someone on a month-to-month deal, right? So it's a very
No,
efficient
no.
way of handling it. All right, let's
And
let's
and
all
we're
wrap it
scalable.
up. Rob, what closing comments you have to make, and then we'll have Lindsay leave us with a final gem or two.
For sure. I mean, hey, it's recruiting. You've got to do it. If you're a business, it's just like sales. It's business development. It's something you have to do. If you need help, we've got people on this call that can help you with software. Obviously, I own an agency where we do calls, that type of thing. So we're here to do that. That's all we do. We don't do any kind of other marketing or anything like that. We're just specifically working on with broker owners. And my father was a broker owner 25 years ago, and I used to run around and do commercial real estate with him and stuff. So it's been in my blood for a long time. But Lindsay, came from a more of a customer service background a couple of years ago when she came to us. And that has been such an amazing transferable skill into a recruiter, because I find that sometimes people aren't focused enough on, like what she's been talking about, being real and sounding, like you're part of the office, and really fitting in and working with the brand to make sure that you get the results. Because at the end of the day, if there's no results, then there's no clients.
And that's, I was going to just add a little bit to that, which is, we do the calls that you don't want to do. So that's the most important part. Sometimes these calls, recruiting, like Rob always says, is not a side project. So yes, your day could go on as business as usual without doing these calls every day. But are you going to be building your business and growing? Probably not, unless you're doing your own calls. And even then, the numbers that we can get you are crazy sometimes. And that is quality appointments with agents, in your area or on the outskirts. Either way, we're getting those appointments for you. And some people would say, I can't afford it. You can't afford not to. So that's all I have to say.
You can't
There
afford
you
not
go.
to. Really,
Can't afford not to.
1 or 2 hires will easily pay for the services you get here. And I guess in closing, we provide the tools to make your recruiting as efficient as possible. Through OnTask, you get to identify the agents, you get to know all about their background, their office, their production, etc. Add that on top, you put on Pro Broker, where they can take that list that you've identified. They can do all of the legwork and queue things up, because managing brokers are busy. So why not work on the most high value task that you can do out there, which is let us queue up the clients, let us queue up the appointments with the calls, and you do what all the agents need, which is that relational touch, not artificial intelligence recruiting. We're talking that one-on-one recruiting call, and that will close the deal.
Yes, do your recruiter a favor and use OnTask so we can get you even more results. It definitely makes a huge difference when doing the calls to have all the agents' information right in front of you, to have them already have been sent an email, congratulating them on a recent sale. Anything at all helps tremendously to get that agent's foot in the door.
Perfect. All right, next
Awesome.
month.
Awesome.
Rob, what do we have next month? I might cook me Charlie Bird up here. It's a little thing.
Next month, I think next month we're going to give thanks for the bountiful year of real estate that we've experienced in 2021. And we'll have a Thanksgiving podcast or something like that.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you soon, Don. Joe Coyne, what's